Over the last several years, my team and I have taught over 800 people how to find purpose in their lives. As we've done so, we've noticed that people start our training often confused about a key distinction. That is, what is the difference between having goals in life and having purpose in life? You want to be crystal clear on the difference between these two concepts, because if you're not, it'll set you up for a lifetime of frustration. In this video, you'll learn how goals and purpose are similar, but also how they're different. And understanding this will help you to live more purposefully. My name is Bradley Wright. I'm the founder of the Life Purpose Lab, where we study how people find life purpose. Okay, let's start off with some definitions. What is purpose in life? Well, I'll cover this in greater detail in other videos. But for now, let's just say it has three characteristics. It's future-oriented, it's meaningful, and it's beyond the self. So if you do something that meets those characteristics, it's purposeful. For goals, let's look at the work of Edwin Locke. He's one of the founders of research on goals. He defines goals as clear and specific objectives towards a desired outcome. As you hear these definitions of goals and purpose, you can see the similarity between them. Both goals and purpose can apply to small or big behaviors. They can apply to any area of our lives. They motivate us. They help us to make sense of our world. They give us a greater sense of well-being. They give us a greater sense of sort of internal coherence. So, what is the difference between having goals in life and purpose in life? Well, one way to understand this is to create a 2x2 table, to look at things and to see if they are a goal or not, and to see if they are purposeful or not. By looking at each of the resulting 4 cells, we have a better understanding of both concepts. Let's start off with cell number 1. These are things that are neither a goal nor a purpose. Now, for the most part, we just don't care about these in terms of this video because we want to live more purposefully. What would be examples? Doom scrolling would be a good one, or just watching TV, or just taking a walk because you're tired. So it doesn't have to be negative, it could be positive, but it's something that's not really goal-oriented or it's not really purposeful. Let's look at cell number 4. These are things that are both a goal and a purpose, and there's a lot of overlap. Often when we have purpose, we translate it into goals. For example, imagine somebody graduated from college and they want to help people with medical issues. So they go to medical school. Or imagine that you have a friend who's having a really hard time and you want to be there for them. You want to help them to work through the problem that they're facing. These are examples of things that are both purposeful and goals. Perhaps the more interesting cells are 2 and 3. These are things that are goals, not purpose, or purposes that not goals. Let's start off with things that are goals but not purposes. Now you might think, how could that be? Well, it's a goal in that we have an objective, we have a desired outcome, but that outcome isn't rooted in purpose. So what does this look like? Well, a lot of our daily activities are goals, but not necessarily purposeful. These could be all sorts of things. So say you buy a new car because you want to impress people. Okay, you have a goal, you want the car and you want to impress people, but it's not rooted in a deeper sense of meaning or purpose. Another source of goals that aren't purposeful is other people's expectations. Here, we do things just because other people want us to do them. Now, let's turn to the remaining cell. These are things that are purposeful, but not goals. Now, you might ask yourself, how could that be? Doesn't having a purpose always entail goals? Well, it often does, but it doesn't have to. Purpose can involve an aspiration or an orientation or a general value. These are things that are too broad, they're too general, strictly speaking, to be goals. For example, suppose that you want to become a more compassionate person. Okay, there's not a specific objective to that, but it is very purposeful. Or suppose that you want to live a more authentic life. Again, purposeful, not a goal. Now, eventually, you do want to translate these general things, being compassionate, being authentic, into specific goals. But they're still purposeful, even when they're not goals. Okay, so why does this distinction matter? Well, confusing goals for purpose can cause problems. We think that we have purpose when we have goals. In fact, I remember talking to one student who was very thoughtful about this, and she took our seminar and she got really excited about the possibilities of her life. But at one point, she expressed a concern. She said, I'm worried that these things that I'm coming up with about purpose will distract me from the plans I already have. So what she was saying in essence was, I have goals. I'm worried that my purpose will interfere with them. Now, when I heard that, I was pretty sad because there's an irony there. What is the value or what's the point of having goals if they're not purposeful? And I worried that she was setting herself up for a difficult life because she was rooting her goals in things other than purpose. Now, it's pretty straightforward as to why we choose goals over purpose. Goals give us a sense of certainty. Also, in general, goals are less frightening. You can just decide to do something and feel good about that decision. Whereas when we explore purpose, we often go deep. We go into things that really cause us a lot of fear and anxiety. In fact, I have a whole video about fear and purpose if you want to watch it. I think it'll be right up there. Another problem about not being clear about the difference between goals and purpose is that we can reject purpose if it's not a goal. So we might feel something that's very general and vague, but it's very meaningful to us. But we might reject it because we don't know what to do with it. That's an example of rejecting purpose because we don't know what the goals are of it yet. Now, down the road, we probably do want to translate them into goals, but it's important when we feel something that really matters to us to hold on to it, even if we're not sure what to do with it. Let me give you an example of how this can be a problem. We had one participant in one of our workshops who was doing administrative work for her career. But what she really wanted to do was to create things in an artistic sense with her hands. Now, that is so vague, create something with my hands, that I don't think it really qualifies as a goal. But it really meant a lot to her. So we encouraged her to just hold on to it, even though it was very vague. It was a purpose, not a goal. And that over time, we hoped that she would be able to flesh out what it would look like to live it out in her life. Okay, so this has been a treatment of the difference between goals and purpose. We've talked about what they are, how they're similar, how they're different. What should you do with this? As you think about why you do things and you think about your plans for the future, you want to be clear in your mind about the difference between goals and purpose. You'll want to be able to look at anything that you're doing or anything that you have planned to do and to know instantly, is this a goal? Is this a purpose? Is it both? Is it neither? Understanding this distinction will support you. It'll undergird your efforts to live more purposefully. And it'll keep you from making mistakes such as holding on to goals that aren't rooted into purpose or rejecting purposes because they're not rooted in goals. I put a lot of work into these videos because I want them to be valuable to you. If you think they are valuable, could you do me a favor? Would you consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel? That would mean a lot to me personally. Also, it would help other people to find this channel. If you're looking for more purpose in your own life, a good place to start would be the Purpose Journal. This is a 21-week guided journal. Every day, you get specific prompts that help you to understand and to enact what matters most to you. You can find it on Amazon. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.